Good afternoon, folks. My name's Ryan Jackson-Saul. This is the Raw Report. Now, we're talking today with a concerned parent about the vaccinations, the kind of effect that they're going to be having on school kids, the rights around the parents having a say about if they're going to get the vaccination or not. So this is Beck Calvert. How you doing, Beck?
Good, thank you.
It's nice to have you on. What's been happening in our schools lately? So there's a rumor that there's basically going to be vaccine buses that are swinging around, and parents may or may not have a say in whether the kids are going to be recommended the vaccines.
Yeah, so I read an article, I think it was like a few days ago, that a big bus is coming through every school, and they'll be giving vaccines to every children that are in that school. If the child's not there, then they don't get the vaccination, of course. And they were saying that they were going to let parents know a week before the vaccine rollouts begin in the schools. So that's from 5 and up.
That's incredibly alarming, since the World Health Organization has basically been recommending only 18 and up to get the vaccine unless they've got a pre-existing condition. The reason that they're recommending that is because people under the age of 14 particularly are high at risk of developing major problems and having underlying conditions that haven't yet been diagnosed. Now, how old are your kids there, Beck?
So I've got a 14-year-old, I've got a 13-year-old, I have a 9-year-old and an 8-year-old.
Right. So if they came along and they mandated or they convinced your kids to take the vaccines without your permission and they developed any like health conditions, you've got no way to stop that from happening, really, do you?
Oh, I don't know. No. There was a 3-year-old boy that actually had the vaccine. I'm not sure which one it was. And it was, I think it's a day after that he actually died from that. And then there was a father that actually took his 3 boys to get the vaccine done without the mother's parental consent. They got back home after the vaccine and she asked them what was wrong with the boys. And he actually said, well, I just went and got them vaccinated. And she ended up taking them to the hospital because they weren't looking right. She did that, and then they ended up having cardiolitis, or whatever it's called.
Myocarditis, most likely.
Yeah.
We're seeing a myocarditis epidemic happening, especially in young boys across the country, particularly ones that are under 14 that are receiving this mRNA vaccine, and adults as well. And that doesn't go away. That stays with you your whole life. It massively increases your risk of heart attack. It's a terrifying thing to have. The thing that's really getting me about this is mRNA vaccines. There was 2 studies done back in 1995 and in 2011, and they rejected this vaccine technology outright. They said it was not effective basically at all, and it just posed a very high risk to people's health. Yet here we are having it mandated to our kids in schools, behind closed doors, away from parents' eyes. And it's not right.
Yeah. No, it's not. It's got to be stopped somewhere. Like, kids are dying from this. Like, it's just not. Well, I'm a very concerned mum, so.
Perhaps concerned mothers can all start grouping together, making some large parent groups, and maybe even form some sort of unions or alliances and actually put some pressure on these schools to make sure that at the very least they have to check with you first. So it can't just happen.
Yeah, that's right. And I ended up finding a form that was online, and it was to exempt the kids from the vaccination. So I ended up filling that out, and I ended up taking it to the principal's office where my girls go. And I said, look, my kids are exempt from getting this medical experimental vaccine. And he's like, oh, yeah, no, your kids won't be getting it. And then I read that article and I'm like, well, yeah. And it's still in trial. So why would you want to go out and get a vaccine that's still in trial from till 2023 or whatever it was? it doesn't make sense to me.
It doesn't, does it? Well, it's an experimental medication, and it certainly shouldn't be mandated.
Yeah.
That just breaks.
No, it shouldn't be. And yeah, and like the workers, most of the workers around here, like in where I live, are losing their jobs because they won't get the vaccine.
Well, don't worry. We're all coming together right now as a nation, and we're fighting the good fight, because it's not anti-vaccine. It's pro-choice. We should all have a choice. We've had a choice of every other vaccine that's come along. This would be no different. Well, thanks very much for your time, Beck. It's been great talking to you.
You're welcome.